copy down there too.
Hey, Mickey. How you doing, Mickey? Nice to see you. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is so good to be together, isn't it? This Shabbat marks not only the end of our Passover observance, but also Earth Day. And through the efforts of our Voices for Justice Committee, our Social Action Committee, our Dayenu Committee, our Membership Committee, have I left out any committees? We have a very meaningful Shabbat of tefillah and limud, of worship and study. And it's exciting to be together and hear from those who we walk beside in partnership to make a more vibrant and healthy Milwaukee. I'd like to welcome Deanna Branch and Maria Carmen Beltran, our coalition partners in COAL, the Coalition on Lead Emergency, and members of Hepatha Lutheran Church who are here. I'd also like to welcome Pastor Joe and Joyce Alwanger. It's an honor to have you here with us this evening. It is significant that we've gathered together on this Shabbat, this special Shabbat. And later we'll hear from Richard Diaz, the chair of the Coalition on Lead Emergency, and Pastor Mary Martha of Hepatha Lutheran Church. And after Shabbat services, our Dayenu Committee, with members of our leadership and volunteers, have put together a wonderful oneg that includes further opportunity to learn. Through their efforts, we've started composting at Congregation Shalom. It's a way to make sure that our footprint on this earth is such that this ground will be tread for generations to come. And during the oneg, there will be opportunities to learn from people in the trade of composting and other environmental practices that can make a real difference when we as people remember that 1 + 1 + 1, we have the ability to change the world. We are going to begin our service now on page 9, or rather, we're going to begin our service with the singing of Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Cantor.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom. 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 Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
We turn now in our Siddur, our blue prayer book, to page 9, and we read from the bottom together on page 9. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. When we talk about purpose, there are few things that are more important than establishing a safe and prosperous world for our next generations. And we are fortunate to have a young woman here tonight who's taking her place this weekend as an adult. within the Jewish community. And so it's now a great pleasure to call upon Anna Richer as she celebrates becoming bat mitzvah tomorrow morning and will kindle the Shabbat lights. Anna, you have dear people around you guiding you on your way, and the whole Richer family brings tremendous light to our community as they do to all they meet. So it's only right that they have the honor of kindling our Shabbat candles. So Tim and Sima and Jacob and Elliot, if you'd like to come up here too, as we will kindle our Shabbat candles, and we turn back in our Siddur to page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Let's all sing together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And Anna, thank you for bringing such light into our congregation, into our community this evening. And if you would like to take a seat, and if your family will return to your seats, I now have the privilege of calling forward Bill Gartenberg, who along with Steve Rubinitz are the chairs of our Social Action Committee, who's going to read on page 15. We turn to page 15. Shabbat Shalom, Bill.
As we will read in a moment, a lyre is a string instrument much like a harp. I had to look that up. It's a great Scrabble word. Please join me on page 16. Sing praise to Adonai with the lyre and melodious song, with trumpets and the blast of the horn. Raise a shout before Adonai, the ruler. Let the sea and all within it thunder, the world and its inhabitants. Let the rivers clap their hands, the mountains sing joyously together at the presence of Adonai. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly and its peoples with equity.
Thank you, Bill. And we continue now as we greet the Shabbat with Shalom Aleichem, which can be found on page 24. Page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeitchem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malchei hamelachim hakadosh baruch hu.
On page 27, teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Let's read together. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. We continue now on page 26, and it's a joy now to call upon Anna to lead us in the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikadal v'kadash me rabba.
Amen.
B'yama divrachi rute. V'yamlich malchute. B'chayechon uvomechon. Uchaye dachol be'Yisrael. Bagala, bagala. Uvizman kariv. Veimeru, Amen. Yehesh me rabba mevara, le'olam lo me'amaya, yibarach, yibarach, vishtaba vipar viroman vinase, vitadar vitale vitalal shmei dekudesha berichu. Leila Mikol Birchata Veshirata Tush Bechata V'nechemata Damiram B'yama V'yimeru Amen.
Wonderful job. Thank you so much, Anna, for participating in our service. We are so excited to celebrate with you as a community tomorrow morning as you become Bat Mitzvah. We'll continue on page 27 at the bottom. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time. Even at unlikely times and through unlikely places, there is no place on earth without the presence. We rise for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship, on page 28.
Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed.
It's a pleasure to call Gailey and Larry Golopal up to lead us in Ma'ariv Aravim.
Please join us.
Page 30.
Page 30. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishaneh itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, v'mishrotehem barkiar kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, goler or mipnei choshech, v'chichech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla. Umavdil bein yom uvein laila, Adonai tzavaot shemo. El chai v'kayom tamid, yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
We'll continue on page 33 at the top. We'll read together. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. And we continue with the Shema, the watchword of our faith.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated. And it's a pleasure to call forward Ruth Irvings to lead us in the English of the Ve'ahavta prayer this evening.
We continue with the Ve'ahavta on page 36. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God.
We will turn to the top of page 39, and tonight we are about to sing the prayer for Mi Chamocha, and it's important, we're still in the middle of Passover, Pesach, so this song holds special relevance for us at this time during this holiday. And we think of the joy of coming out of Egypt and our people being free when they cross the Sea of Reeds. And we also keep in mind those in our world who are struggling and do not feel that sweet taste of freedom. So we'll read together at the top of page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, mi chamocha bailim Adonai. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam, ze'eli anu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch le'olam le'olam va'ed. We can sing together. Mi chamocha, mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, mi chamocha bailim Adonai. V'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov ugalo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
We'll turn to the top of page 43 for Hashkivenu. This is a prayer that we typically say after the bedtime Shema at a transitional time in the night, at a time when things are a bit uncertain and our thoughts might be everywhere. We're asking for God's guidance and sheltering presence. So we'll read together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporesh sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beni uvein bnei Yisrael oti le'olam. Beni uvein bnei Yisrael oti le'olam. Ki sheishet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash.
We're on page 45. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We will rise for Tefillah, our standing prayer, on page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufia gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chastei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol, atah rav lehoshia. Morid hatal, Michalkel Chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamolcha ba'al kevurot, Umito melach, melech memit, Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanat ha'lehachayot hakol, Baruch ata Adonai, mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh shimcha kadosh, ukedoshim bechol yom yahalalucha sela. Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated. We turn to the top of page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. We read together, May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. We'll continue with Ritzei at the top of page 57. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu ba'amcha Yisrael u'tefilatam ba'ahava tekabel u'tehi l'ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. We'll turn to page 59 as we read together at the bottom. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. We'll continue on page 60 with Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit u'v'chol sha'ah bishlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam Tasim le'olam Tasim le'olam.
We turn our thoughts to those in our community who are in need of a prayer of healing, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, a healing of soul, a healing of body. And at this time, our Congregation Shalom community is thinking of Shandal Bat Frida Malka, Julie Borikoff, Margot Raz, Carol Dubin, Samsara Vizkaya, Bob Radke, Lyle Rubel, Mark Cook, Moshe Ben Nechama, Jean Bass, Alan Turner, Steve Teplinsky, Myron Dvorkin, Esther Cohen, Lisa Furstad, Terry Finch, Harav Ilana Miriam Bat Chava, Faye Levin, Sarah Rachel Bat Yocheved Alexander, Tia Barrett, Wendy Salzberg, Steve Plotkin, Kathy Peltz, Avram Ben Naftali, Emma and Max, Doug Cruz, Nadiva Sarah Bat Liba, Carol Rovner, David Goldstein, Marilyn Harmon, Chris St. Martin, Ellen Futterman, Barry Bursack, Debbie Kelly, Janet Meister, Ahuva Yocheved Bat Chaim Valea, Susan Sack, Reza Tzvia Bat Shena Etta, Mary Frankowitz, Sophia Rubenstein, Alana Himmelfarb, Chris Gould, Charmaine Hayden, Wendy Wiviet, Sue Weller, Patty Arnold, Andrew Messerman, Kate Wilson, Marlene Marks, Yocheved Bat Rundle V'chaim, Walter Shapiro, Otto Feller, Avraham Bat Frida, Marla Chakowski, Michael Sachek, Dave Rotter, Helene Wallenberg, Peter Becker, Mark Cook, Natalie Cohen, Steve Isaacson, Alice Green, Yaakov Peck, Ann Becker, and Elaine Keller. In addition to these members of our community, I hope that you will think of those that you're holding in your hearts as we turn to page 253 for Misha Beirach.
Misha Beirach Avoteinu Mikor HaBracha Le'imoteinu, may the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Beirach Imoteinu Mikor HaBracha La'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us all say, Amen.
And with those in need of an extra blessing for healing in our minds, we take this moment for a silent meditation for the prayers and words that are in your heart.
Let's sing together. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. 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 Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
So Congregation Shalom has joined with many congregations in the Milwaukee area with COAL, the Coalition on Lead Emergency. And we have the privilege now of hearing from Richard Diaz, the chair of the Coalition on Lead Emergency. And for those of you who have not had the opportunity to learn from or be inspired by Richard, then let this be the first of many times. Richard has extensive community organizing experience across labor, political issues-based, and neighborhood campaigns, and is deeply committed to the fight for racial and economic justice. And he's a co-founder of COAL and is an extraordinary advocate for marginalized groups and has brought forward numerous policy changes, elected officials, and partnerships in advocacy-based and service-based nonprofits. And now it's a joy to hear from Richard, who has shared with us this video message.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Richard Diaz. I am the chair with the Coalition on Lead Emergency. I'd like to take some time out to just say thank you to Congregation Shalom. Thank you for putting together this great Earth Day event. And also, thank you for joining the Coalition on Lead Emergency. We are in an uphill battle trying to replace 70,000 lead service lines, trying to help property owners with older housing stock, and also to give resources to those families that have been negatively impacted by lead poisoning. Again, I'd like to say thank you. You all are in great hands tonight with Maria Beltran and Deanna Branch of Co-Parents Lead. Take care.
Well, thank you to Richard. Standing here tonight at the end of Passover, we are cognizant of the importance of the stories of our lives. Our journeys and our struggles have defined us as a people. And telling the story of our suffering, and with the help of God overcoming the adversities of the past, that helps us and it prepares us to overcome the adversities of our day, of our present. Bearing testimony and telling the story of challenges that exist in our lives and in our society is therefore a sacred act. To tell of the ways our lives have been touched by adversity and the way our lives are a microcosm of the greater struggles of our day, that is a holy act. And tonight we have the privilege of hearing from Deanna Branch and Maria Carmen Beltran, who will share with us their story and their march to overcome adversity. And what we as the listeners must be prepared to do is assess who will be on their journey and on the journey of so many others who live lives affected by the terrible, destructive plague of lead poisoning. And I pray that we will all endeavor to end this emergency in our midst speedily and in our day. And so now it is a joy to call upon, is Deanna, are you speaking first? I believe you are. So first, Deanna.
Hi, my name is Deanna. Okay. So what is called the Coalition on Lead Emergency? We have been around for 4 years. We are a coalition of nonprofits, community groups, environmental organizations. We have doctors, lawyers, researchers, and many other very skilled professionals. But most importantly, we are families who have been impacted by the devastation of lead poisoning. As you can see on this slide, these are some members of our coalition. There's a full list on our website. Additionally, we are grateful to Congregation Shalom for joining our coalition as well. Thank you very much. Lead is a toxic metal that harms the brain and nervous system, and it's especially harmful during pregnancy and infancy when it can decrease IQs, diminish academic abilities, and increase attention deficit and problem behaviors. Even the lowest blood lead levels can affect the developing brain and central nervous system, having irreversible effects. Communities of color and lower income communities often bear a disproportionate brunt of the hazards of lead contamination. Lead poisoning causes irreversible damage. There is no safe level of lead. We formed because of the lead crisis in Milwaukee. I'm pretty sure y'all heard of the story in Flint, this cash-strapped city in the state. Oh, he switched the slide. There we go. This cash-strapped city in the state of Michigan decided to end this agreement with Detroit and started pulling water from the Flint River, thus resulting in a spike in lead poisoning cases and a drastic increase in the amount of lead in their drinking water. This alerted the whole world to the lead issues happening in their communities. Lead poisoning in Milwaukee. The Milwaukee story of lead poisoning has a long history. There was a mandate in the 1800s that forced lead service lines to be used. Lead paint was able to be sold up until 1978. Lead gasoline was banned in the 1970s. 80% of homes in Milwaukee were built before 1969, before both bans. So our homes today are still swarming with lead. With this history of challenges, we have made significant gains in protecting children from lead poisoning. 73% of children tested were lead poisoned in 1996 compared to 6% of children tested are poisoned today. National attention about lead in water. President Biden's Build Back Better plan advocates for over $15 billion to replace lead service lines. Resources are available for property owners to abate their homes. Money to do lead abatement, resources for families impacted by lead poisoning. But lack of a sense of urgency, but by no means is this support enough. We still have more individuals who aren't accepted into programs to lead abate their homes than who are approved. Homeowners have to come out of pocket $1,000 or more to replace their lead service line. There isn't enough testing. Many families aren't finding out that their kid is affected by lead until they are hospitalized, like my son was. Also, from a public health perspective, a sense of urgency doesn't happen until your child tests at a dangerous level. We are doing families a major disservice because tons of damage can be done when children test at lower levels. Why I got involved, as I stated before, I am a mother of a child who was severely impacted by lead. He had to be hospitalized twice because of severity of the lead in his blood. I used my voice to share his story and to bring awareness to not only the lead issue in Milwaukee, but just to bring lead awareness throughout the whole world. Me and Aiden are currently working on getting the book published. I'm the author, he's the illustrator. It's a little bit of just me telling Aiden's story. He's the lead-free superhero. He goes around Milwaukee and he helps the children fight the lead monsters and the paint, soil, and water to get rid of the lead. Yes, Aiden, that's Aiden right there. Yes, you're the illustrator, yes. All the awesome artwork in the book is because of Aiden. Aiden, you gonna come up and talk about the book?
Hello, so my name is Aiden Eli Branch. I was born in July 14, 2013. What I wanted to say about lead in my story is that I have lead. And it's really sad though, but I don't want to explain, but I'll explain. So back when I was 7, at Brady's house and stuff, when I lived there, I had lead poisoning. I had to get lots of shots and stuff. And I had lead poisoning, and I was sad about it. So yeah, it was really sad.
Thank you, baby. Oh, here, go sit with your brother. I'll finish telling a story for you. Good job. Now I'll turn it over to Maria. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maria Beltran. It's an honor to be here tonight to speak. I'm going to speak about the committees different in the coalition. Co-Parents Lead and Education Committee. Sorry, gotta turn this one. Okay. What is Co-Parents Lead? Group of families who have been impacted by lead poisoning. We seek to engage with residents, families who live in the most lead-impacted zip codes and work with parents who have poisoned children to build their capacity in the lead abatement field. Capacity building is getting them jobs in lead abatement and getting them educated as well. What is the Education Committee? The Education Committee seeks to educate community members, nonprofits who serve communities most impacted by lead, schools, and others who just want to know how to protect yourself from lead exposures. This committee focuses on educating community members on what you should do to keep yourself safe from lead exposure in your home. The other role of this committee is to educate the broader public about lead crisis, including doing presentations like tonight. Okay. Co-Advocacy Committee, working to influence policy. This committee works to influence local, state, and federal policies around protecting families and lead exposure. We also have a Birthing Moms proposal. Our first victory came in 2019 when Cole advocated for public and private partnership between the City of Milwaukee and the hospitals of Milwaukee to split $240K to create the Birthing Moms pilot project. This project allows for women giving birth who reside in the zip codes most affected by lead poisoning, a kit that contains information on lead poisoning, a water filter, and other resources to protect their families from lead exposure. Lowering the actionable level in 2020 budget cycle, Our second victory came from the following year when Cole was made aware that the City Health Department doesn't have enough resources to respond to all kids who test at the CDC defined actionable level of 5 micrograms per deciliter. We were successful in making the mayor and council members aware of this, but we came up short because the city said they were broke. We made and managed to get an actionable level lowered to 15. ARPA co-worked with the Milwaukee Health Department and now Council President Jose Perez to utilize $26 million from ARPA to lower the actionable level even more down to 10. Just to explain more about what is meant by actionable levels, we mentioned that there is no safe level of lead, and the victory was that Cole's Advocacy Committee was able to work with the Milwaukee Health Department to lower actionable levels to 15. So in the blue on this chart shows how many cases annually that the health department is addressing for 400 families to 20 micrograms per deciliter level. They are also working with families on levels as low as 15. However, it is important to note that at the end of last year, the CDC changed the actionable level to 3.5, and the city only says to 15. So you can see that there are 3,200 cases in Milwaukee at this level. This new recommendation from the CDC doesn't come with funding to states and health departments. Therefore, our advocacy committee and our coalition will continue their work, and we are looking forward into the next tranche of ARPA funding. As you can see here, this chart is only with 10% of children tested. The Co-Workforce Development Committee, one, the Co-Lead Abatement Fellows Programs, a paid program that trains residents from the most lead-impacted zip codes on lead abatement, now adopted by SDC, and Revitalize Milwaukee. ARPA, $3 million. During the discussions around ARPA, co-partnered with Employ Milwaukee to secure $3 million so that we can train 250 lead abatement workers over the course of 2 years to meet our goals. And I myself have been trained in lead abatement, and I'm certified. And since I've been trained in that program, I've learned and educated myself more. And it's very scary, and why this is part of the reasons why I got involved. I have multiple grandchildren. I'm a grandmother of 6 grandchildren, 1 on the way, and my grandson was never hospitalized, but he also tested lower than the actionable level, but he was at a 6.4. And he's had behavioral issues, learning disabilities. He suffers from seizures. He got tested when he was 2. At that time, he was 4. The doctor just sent a paper in the mail and said, this is his level, this is what you have to do, but nobody ever came to advocate or give me other resources in regards to how to help him more. And then one day we were sitting on the porch outside our home, and SDC came. They were canvassing the neighborhood, they were doing an outreach, and they asked, was it okay to test him for lead? I said, go ahead. Came back, I got the letter from the city, he was at 6.4. And I applied for the lead abatement, which was in 2019 when he was tested. I got denied, And I met with Richard, I told him my story. He advocated for me, he pushed. I've been now approved since 2019 to now 2022. My grandson, like I said, he's tested positive, and now my home will be, I had inspectors come out to inspect. It was 5 hours long, and I still have to wait 2 to 3 months more when they'll give me a scope of the work that they'll be doing in the home. And that's why I got involved, because not only myself, with my grandchild affected, there's a lot of old homes in my neighborhood that I live in, and I know that a lot of children have been affected, and it's very sad and scary. And a lot of times everyone says, oh, it's just ADHD, give them medicine, or, you know, send them to therapy. That's pretty much our life right now, with occupational therapy to work on their fine motor skills and their speech. He's been in speech and language because all of that affected his brain. He is now 5 and his brother is 4, and that's why I do this, to make the awareness and educate more people, because I wasn't educated. Now that I know, I'd like to share it. And that's my passion, to make sure everyone is aware. And like I was sharing earlier, like we learned too, even playing on the grass, our soil is infected. Just playing on the grass, and I used to like playing on the grass barefooted. I let my grandchildren play in the grass barefooted. It feels good. You know, it works on their sensory. But it also, you don't know if that soil has been contaminated, and you need to be safe and careful. And thank you. It's been an honor speaking up here. And if you have any questions.
Thank you all. Please email us if you're interested in getting involved, or visit our website for more information about this emergency in your city. Marie and I will be around after the Shabbat service to answer as many questions as we can. Up next is a video from Pastor Mary Martha from Heptha Church, who is traveling. She would have enjoyed being here with you on the Sabbath evening, so she sent a video in her absence. Thank you.
God's peace and God's blessings to you, Congregation Shalom, and thank you for walking with us at Heptha Lutheran Church for the well-being and the safety of our city of Milwaukee, with special attention to the lead poisoning crisis and the well-being of our children. This is Pastor Mary Martha Canis speaking with you from our sanctuary on the corner of 18th and Locust, where an appalling 25% of the children carry the burden of lead poisoning, really a sin of our community, of our nation. You'll see behind me 2 symbols for our church and our ministry, and we're so grateful to have you wishing to serve with us in care and justice for our young people. So the banner that you see hanging above our pulpit is our Strong Baby Sanctuary banner. It's a sign that Heptha is a strong baby sanctuary. This is a movement of our city of Milwaukee, of Ascension Healthcare, and also some 40 congregations that are together to work at ways that faith communities can help reduce the infant mortality rate in our city of Milwaukee, which is at a horrific 100 children a year not reaching their first birthday, with communities of color bearing the large burden of this. On my other side is a pitcher. This pitcher is now used to filter our baptismal water here at Heptha, our drinking water here at Heptha, and these are the pitchers that our Coalition on Lead emergency effort shares with families, with our community, in an effort for us to reduce the amount of lead that is coming into the little bodies in our community. Now, know that is safe. We want to make that point always. We here now baptize with water that has been put through this pitcher, and we make this connection between our sacramental life and our faith and the ministry that we carry out in the community. It is our aim that our children will have lead-free bodies, lead-free minds, and be lifted into a new ability to use the God-given potential that they carry. So we want to say thank you for your invitation to join with you this Friday evening, to be faith partners together, partners in God's good work for the city, and we want to say, may God bless and keep you in your serving. We look forward to many, many ways that we will be of use together. God's peace to you.
Well, a special thank you to Pastor Mary Martha and Deanna and Maria and Aiden and Jaden. We are so moved by your words. You know, in our tradition, there is a belief that when God created the world, that God shattered vessels, in a sense, creating brokenness that we live in. Not necessarily a bad brokenness, but a brokenness nonetheless. And it is our responsibilities as human beings to try to piece together those fragments of brokenness that exist in our world. And while prayer is extraordinarily important and ritual brings meaning to our lives, when we act to make the world a better place, when we act like you've acted in order to make the world a better place for the generations to come, then we can create a sense of tikkun, a sense of healing that exists. And we will refer to that as Tikkun Olam. And certainly our work with Cole and our work with Hepatha is one of the ways in which we can create that sense of wholeness and holiness. In our tradition, when we think of water, water is used in the mikvah to purify. In a sense, when we move into, when young person becomes a Jew, they go to the mikvah and they immerse themselves in the mikvah. When a bride and groom might choose before their wedding day to go to the mikvah as well, to create a sense of renewal that it can exist in their lives. But the only water that we can use is something called Mayim Chaim, which means living water. Water that is pure and that is a sense holy, that it is rushing and flowing and creates a sense of dynamism in our world. We need to make sure that that living water exists in our world, not only for us to have ritual practice, but for us to live and draw a sense of life and holiness for everyone. This is particularly important in our congregation. In our mission statement, it says, "We strive to improve life within the broader community and promote better understanding and tolerance among its members. Our endeavors in this regard reinforce our faith in the one God of all humanity, who offers us the strength to uplift the plight of those less fortunate. We are committed to the ideal of Tikkun Olam, that is to heal the world. And it is with Hepatha Lutheran Church and with Cole that we have found natural partners, and we are excited to engage in this work with you. So thank you to all of you who have brought this important message to us. It is inspiring, and I know that our community is committed to make the world better as partners with you. We are now going to continue in our service as we are going to take a moment for counting. There is so much that we count in our lives. We count blessings. We count that which is holy and sacred. We count all the time that which is meaningful in our world. And so we have started the period of the counting of the Omer, which lasts from the second night of Pesach all the way to Shavuot. And if you turn in your Siddur to page 278, that's page 278, we can continue in this custom of counting the days between Pesach and Shavuot.
Hineni mukhan mzuman lekayem mitzvat haseh shel sfirat ha'omer baruch atah Adonai Asher kidishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Sfirat ha'omer Hayom Shiva Yamim Shem Shavua Echad La'omer.
Today is the 7th day, which is 1 week of the counting of the Omer. We count our strengths in the measure of our people. And it is a privilege now to call upon Bill Gartenberg, who is a co-chair of our Social Action Committee, and Ruth Irvings, who was one of the founding members, along with Amy, of our Voices for Justice Committee. And we'd like to invite you to step forward as you have the honor of opening up our ark doors. We are going to turn now in our Siddur to page 282. That's page 282 as we rise together as a community for the singing of Aleinu. Page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tei gdula le'yotze breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishbechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. Particularly in this season, as in all times, we think of loved ones, dear ones, who've passed into life eternal. Particularly in our hearts and minds here at Congregation Shalom, we are thinking of the recent passing during the period of Shiva for Harriet Dizak, Adeline Dominitz, Jordan Fishman, Cecilia Rinsky, and John Veal. In addition to those names, so too do we think of those for whom we commemorate the period of Shloshim, the 30-day mourning period. We think of Rosalie Bamberger, Linda Fine, Howie Hirsch, and Lorraine Mitz. In addition to those names, too, we think of those who've passed in seasons gone by, for whom we walk in their footsteps. Particularly in our hearts and minds as we commemorate their yahrzeit, we think of Catherine Adams, Sarah Baum, Michael Berman, Charlotte Emil Bloom, Mary Bloom, Melvin Cohen, Gary Cohn, Louise Eder, Melvin Eisenberg, Irvin Glass, David Gollin, Nina Gorins, Rose Granoff, Alexander Hoffman, Earl Kaplan, Sam Kimmel, Doreen Kimmel, Ruth Rose Kohler, Eva Korzinski, Esther Kramer, Michael Kryman, Betty LaBear, Et Leon, John Lukács, Leonard Mendelblatt, Morris Minash, Dorothy Plopper, Morton Rubin, Arthur Rosenberg, Ruth Rosenthal, Belle Borton-Ruppa, Gerald Schmerin, Florence Schneiderman, Saul Skolnick, Bernice Shuckett, David Sherman, John Shovers, Edward Silberman, Frank Skorodin, Abraham Al Stein, Norman Sussman, Lucille Weissman, Augusta Weiner, Bertha Willinson, David Wolf, Susan Zucro. If there are names that should be added to this list or any names that should be pronounced differently than I did, please do call those names out loud as I look in your direction. May their memories be for a blessing. In addition to the names of our loved ones, so too do we think of all those who've died due to war and/or terrorism. We think of all those who've died in defense of this nation and allied nations' ideals. We think of all those who've died due to this terrible virus that has stricken our nation and our globe, as well as the virus of racism and xenophobia. In addition to those names, too, we think of all those who perished during the Holocaust. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we turn towards sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope. The Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish, can be found on page 294. We rise together now as one community as we recite these sacred words. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabba, v'yamad yivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayecho u'vyomecho u'vchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam u'lamei amaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit ramam v'yit naseh. V'yit adar v'yit alev v'yit alal shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, amen. You may be seated. In our tradition, we're taught that those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. So we always turn from sadness to gladness, to happiness. It's a joy now to call upon our congregational president Brent Arnold, who's going to make some announcements on behalf of our congregation. Shabbat Shalom, Brent.
Thank you, Rabbi. It's great to see so many people here tonight. It's even better up here when I can see you guys all. Thanks, buddy. Happy Earth Day to Congregation Shalom. I want to thank everyone involved in putting this Tikkun Olam Shabbat service together tonight. I know it took a whole lot of people, and it was really great to see our congregants working hard to make a difference in our community. Thank you to David Wolfson for his leadership and everybody involved, our entire Dayenu Circle, our Social Action Committee, our Membership Committee, and our Voices for Justice. Everyone's actions tonight can change others, that start making real changes in our community. Thanks to all our great speakers tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here and educating us, both here and on the screen. We don't know what we don't know. And it was really great to have you all with us, teaching us and helping us to understand the real issues that face our community of Milwaukee. All our speakers will also be available in tonight's Oneg for questions. I look forward to many more partnership opportunities with Cole and with other great organizations working hand in hand to improve Milwaukee for everybody. I'm also excited to announce that for the first time, we'll be starting our composting our food waste at tonight's Green Oneg Shabbat. The green compost bins will be located in Clearfield Hall, and there will be people here from Compost Crusaders to explain it all to us. We also have some other great organizations set up in the Oneg that can give you all kinds of ideas to make your life more earth-friendly. There's Green Homeowners United and the MMSD. Also, Shalom's committees will have tables set up to sign up and to help us on some of these phenomenal missions. On Sunday, this coming Sunday at 2 o'clock, please join us back here at Congregation Shalom for our Mamuna post-Passover celebration. This is a North African tradition brought to us by the Milwaukee Jewish Federation. There will be singing and dancing, and also appetizers and desserts prepared by an Israeli chef. That's enough to bring me back. Also, our 2021 championship Shalom softball team, yeah, they won the championship last year. They're getting ready to take the field again this year. I heard that they are lifting Torahs up and down to train in the off season to get back in baseball shape. So please reach out to Jason Markey or Ben Marins if you are interested in joining the team this year. Our confirmation trip is flying off to New York City. That sounds really exciting. They're leaving on April 29th. Rabbi Noah and Peyton and Brian Avner will be showing our students all the Jewish essentials in New York City. We can't wait to hear all about it. Then on May 20th, we get to celebrate the installation of our very own Rabbi Pozlowski. I know her family will be joining us from Kansas City, and it will be a really special night. Then on June 24th, we get the honor and look forward to the installation of our magnificent Cantor Purpur, another really special event you will not want to miss. Lastly, don't forget our weekly minyan services, our Saturday Torah study, Shabbat services on Saturday as well, and our Thursday What's New conversation. May we make this Earth Day a new beginning of what is still to come. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and I'll see you at the Green Oneg.
Yesher Koach, Brent, and thank you so much. We are going to now turn to our Kiddush, which can be found all the way back in our Siddur on page 5. And we're going to rise, and it's a joy now to call upon Anna Richer to come back up to our bima as you're going to lead us in the Kiddush. Our cup is overflowing with blessings and filled with a sense of sweetness, because this is the weekend that you're becoming bat mitzvah, and we have a lot to celebrate this weekend, and it's a joy to all be together in order to do it. And so we turn now to page 5, and we join together in the Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei peri agafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava u'ratzon pinchilanu Zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit Ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh Zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim Ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidasha Mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava u'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. How is it? Not too bad? Okay, must be a good year. And so we are now going to turn to our closing hymn for this Shabbat, which is Shabbat Shalom. Before we do so, just want to thank our Voices for Justice Committee, our Dayenu Circle, our Social Action Committee, our Membership Committee, the volunteers, those among our leadership who made this evening happen. It is always a joy to be together in moments such as these, to celebrate coming together, to celebrate Shabbat, but also to make a difference in our world. We turn now to Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you to Deanna and Maria and Aiden and Jaden for being here. And we are going to, after our service, go into our oneg. And so let us conclude with these words, Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.